if, God forbid something happened to either one of us and we're not here anymore to speak for ourselves, all those videos you made, all that content you created, bro, that's your legacy.
Nobody like you. Think they want to bite you. Man, it's hot as hell, boy. So I'm making content and brought me all the way to the Essence Fest. That's what I'm doing right now, man. Out here in New Orleans, getting ready for the Essence Fest and really doing some reflecting, man. So hopefully y'all enjoy this content I'm about to give y'all right now. Getting a little vulnerable with you a little bit, getting a little transparent with you. Check it out. I stumbled across TikTok in 2019. And in 2019, everything changed for me. That's when I went from just being a college professor that was also, a debate coach to being what they call now, I guess, an influencer. And what I learned from that, and something I accepted real early, is that a lot of people, they care about consciously, they don't know George. Or, a lot of people that maybe, book me, or maybe, I come and do a workshop, facilitation, or keynote. I've learned that it's the following more that they're kind of going for, and necessarily not my humanity. And that's something that's cool, you know what I'm saying? I think that it's a part of entertainment and consumption. When we go to things, and the particular desire that we have for it is what we expect to be delivered every single time. Kind of like, shut up and dribble. Like, we ain't come here for none of that humanity shit. We came here for the content, and if the content is tied to the humanity, then we good. But the personalized stuff, and in me reflecting on the good, bad, ugly, blessings, you feel me, trials, tribulations of being a content creator, this is not for me to be seen as a victim at all, but me being very straightforward and transparent about how things happen and how I experience them on the other side of that camera. Because I think sometimes I do believe a lot of context and a lot of humanity on both sides, you feel me, is lost in the comments and the views and the follows and the likes, you know what I'm saying? And it makes it where sometimes we create parasocial relationships with people and things, and other times, we create very cathartic relationships with people and things. Also, something that I've just accepted and learned is that the algorithm usually tells on what type of viewer that I have. Because I make intersectional content about race, class, gender, ability, sexuality, philosophy, theory, international relations, environment, like it makes it where different people pull into the comment section. And certain people have this one-sided idea that you only make content about race, or you only make content about gender, or you only make content about immigration. And it shows me that however your algorithm is curated, it makes it where you usually get a particular type of content from me. And I don't even know if you can even see my face. Let's see if I can get a better angle, man. Might be a better angle right here. Might be a better angle right here. Let's see, a little bit better. Is this better? I think this might be better. I think my boy Son Machal, he talked about this metaphor of a tree that bears fruit and how people just want the fruit from the tree and they don't really care if the tree dies. This to me illustrates how a lot of content creators kind of crash out, or they burn out, or they become depressed because they give and pour, and sometimes they don't have nothing to pour back into them, or sometimes their humanity and their happiness starts to get defined and structured by what type of engagement they get into. And I can be very transparent and say, and be real, and say that I have also been impacted by making it where my happiness is tied to the engagement that I get or I don't get, or making it where, the dopamine release, you know what I'm saying, of how my art is interpreted after I click post. Well, that defines my mood. Something that I'm saying I actually working through. But in understanding this metaphor about the fruit and the trees, to me it's about being a black creative, and how being a black creative that produces art, how the production of that art gets prioritized a lot of times over the human being. And to me, it proves a lot of times you can't separate the art from the artist, because a lot of the art usually comes from the personal experiences in a social location, the trials and trauma and tribulations and all the overcoming that artist has overcome, that's able to, you feel me, infuse the art, inspire the art, and showing that you can't really separate the art from the person, but also, showing the very human impact of, I feel like living like a public life because the public-private spirit of your interpersonal shit sometimes get blended, but also seeing that it's like some people don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like the better you able to acknowledge that, the better off you're gonna be. You know what I'm saying? If you can acknowledge that, you feel me, you're gonna be good. As a matter of fact, if you somebody watching this video and you wanna be a content creator, I believe if you can accept this first thing as a truism, you're gonna be all right. But if you have a hard time accepting it, it's gonna be a difficult, even more difficult time for you trying to build a following specifically. Your biggest supporter is probably gonna be a stranger. And somebody you know and love is probably gonna be your biggest hater. It's not because people around you and it's something personally with you. I think it's something about capitalism and interpersonality that make envy, you feel me, be bred as a part of competition and making people feel like, you know, progression is like a pie. You feel me? So if this person right here economically, financially progresses to make it, well, this person ain't gonna do shit. It ain't work like that. Following does not equal community. Following does not equal dollars. I know a lot of people that have millions of followers that are lonely and broke. Matter of fact, I can identify with people that have a big following and sometimes feel very lonely and broke. With that being said, we should always be mindful of having millions of people that watch you don't mean you have millions of people that support you. A hate follow or animosity follow is real. And as a matter of fact, on this very YouTube video, you might see individuals in the comment section that's illustrating my point, showing you how they came here to critique, reject, negate, deconstruct, and delegitimize. And that's just a part of the game. I know that if I was a store owner, it would be preposterous for me to take personal when people come into my store and try to steal. When I have employees trying to steal time off the clock. That's a part of the territory. I think there's a lot of part of the territory that comes with being a content creator. So if you're gonna do this life and I decided I was gonna do it, it was gonna be some things I was willing to take on. One thing being individuals talking about my wife, you know what I'm saying? Somehow I figured out that if you disagree with me, even if I said something about the environment or something about gender or something about class, a lot of individuals, they point of contention or they point of like the entry point of being like, fuck you, it'd be like, you got a white wife or your wife ain't black. And it'd be like, both of these two things are very interesting. I've made videos about this right here. But to me as a content creator, it showed me that every intellectual, subjective disagreement can turn into an interpersonal character indictment and attack in any way. And if you're gonna cry and whine about it, you probably shouldn't be trying to do this work. You feel me? That's something that I had to come to the conclusion and just full blown accept it. Something else I believe is that every supporter, something else I feel like for me, I probably other people probably can relate to this. Actually, I feel like me and some of my child would agree that every follower and supporter you gain, you also gain somebody that can't stand your ass for that very like follower supporter you just gained. And that's just a part of the game. This is something I've struggled with because I like to be a content creator that moves on to the next video or moves on to the next issue and not typically get into the comment sections and really argue with people and or engage. As a result, sometimes my comment section becomes cesspools for nonsense, oppressive dispositions, people being discriminatory, individuals looking to trauma bond because I intellectually bust their ass on an argument, or I didn't respond to them one time on one other post a year ago, 2 years ago, a week ago, and now they find the other individuals. Or sometimes this is where people in the comment sections come to build solidarity out of hate. Or, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like I could do a better job at curating my comment section like I curate a classroom, making sure that there's not too many distractions, not necessarily kicking people out because they disagree with me, which is an important point right now I want to make. I made a living out of being a debate coach. When I started doing this was just something I did on my leisure time. You know what I'm saying? Something I did on the side. You feel me? Making content. I was already dedicated and committed to education and activism before I had a following. If I lost my following tomorrow, I still would be dedicated to activism and education. It's somewhere along the line, people started to believe that the reason why I talk about what I talk about is because I have a follower and not the other way around. I hope this is a clarity point to make sure that it's now not a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? Also, my wife is not white. You feel me? She is biracial. She's part white, part black. You feel me? Half black, half white. No one drop rule. Got a full black mama. You know what I'm saying? That's something that always comes up with it or whatever. And I believe trans women are women. You know what I'm saying? That's just, you feel me, free Palestine, you feel me? I got a master's degree in adult and higher education, a master's degree in human relations. This is kind of an introduction to me, while I also talk about the things in which I have experienced with my buddy about being a content creator. When it comes to being dogpiled on and boundaries, there's been 2 times in my career where me defending a woman that said she got hit by a brick, but she really got hit by a bottle by a man, you feel me? And people felt like because she was lying, that overshadowed her being hit by a man with an object. I had a lot of individuals, do a lot of dogpiling. As a matter of fact, that was the first time I ever had seen me getting on a lot of different apps, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and everybody's talking about the quote unquote brick lady. I've now been able to talk with, with Ro. She actually came to our birthday party in Houston. She's a real cool woman, you feel me? And really, I was able to handle that by being able to think about purpose of a popularity and recognizing that some stances and positions I take is not gonna always be popular, but if I believe the purpose is the purpose, I should stand on it. And for me, it's like a lot of people, they get mad at my allyship when it comes to trans people uniquely. They always have something to say about how, hey, trans women shouldn't be boxing or shouldn't be doing things in women's sports because they got an unfair advantage. They really mean. And then have those same individuals turn around and be like, fuck that black woman over there because she lied and therefore a man hitting her is justified. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's like, hey, when a person experiences something very traumatic, you trying to think about them being able to account for every single detail. To me, it's kind of like, semantic-y, but that's just me. You feel me? Second time I was dogpiled on was the execution of Khalifa, Marcellus Williams. You feel me? The prisoner that got really unjustly executed in Missouri. And at this time was the election. I was traveling a lot, you feel me? And this when I first started really battling my shit with, mental health in terms of me coming around and recognizing I'm bipolar. Was around this time. You know what I'm saying? So when I got dogpiled on, and that ain't gonna lie, that right there really hurt my feelings. It really was like, damn. So I'm getting blamed for the execution of a black man by a white supremacist system. And you believe that if I would have made 5 or 10 more videos, this would have changed the idea or changed the mindset of them. That's crazy. But I feel like I can sit in the criticism and say that I think that I could have, I think there are ways that I could have mobilized people a little bit better, but I don't think that I could take or bear the shoulder responsibility of what this government did to this black man. I'm a black man as well, you know what I'm saying? And I know that I don't wield the power to change this white supremacist system, especially if they can willy-nilly unjustly just execute a black man. Content creators should have one app. You should always try to diversify your following and figure out some type of system to make it where when you post on this app, you're able to cross-post that to every single one of the things, to every single other platforms. I think TikTok now is trying to get content creators to cannibalize their content by just sitting on TikTok live all day and making it where the replays and all that shit don't happen, to make it where they all getting us to sit on there. Because they only make money when we sitting on there. They competing with sleep and movies damn near. You feel me? As long as we ain't sleeping and watching movies, they're gonna make some money. So they trying to, I feel like, make it where we stay on particular apps and just knowing that everybody got their acquired taste when it comes to the way interfaces happen on like Instagram versus Twitter versus you feel me, Facebook versus TikTok. So just being able to give people content on all those apps, make sure you're able to hit everybody with their acquiring taste. And I'm reading my phone, I got some notes in here. Consistency matters. Make sure the messages don't change. If the messages do change, you can own it publicly. And the last thing is hustle with dignity, man. Make sure you can have a honorable hustle, one that is ethical, and recognize that we all gotta pay bills, we all gotta feed people, you know what I'm saying, one way or another. So in content creating, you wanna make sure, how I think about it, make sure you paid, but you ain't selling out. To me, what that means is that if I'm doing content about race, class, gender, ability, sexuality all day, every day for free anyway, and somebody come to me and be like, hey, can you make content about this social issue, this political issue, and it's like, I can do it in my likeness, then yeah, I got you. You know what I'm saying? If it's something that I feel like it goes against my morals and my ethics, then I ain't rocking with it. And most people that deal with me, they know consciously it's not finna go outside the boundaries of chasing this dollar to go outside of his, you feel me, principles. We ain't doing that.
It takes holding up a mirror sometime. If I just come out and say, hey man, even as fans and followers, y'all have a tendency of dehumanizing the person that you admire for the fruits of their labor, for the thing that you admire. If you come to an apple tree and see that somebody's vandalized it, they spray painted on it, done all sorts of things to the tree, and all you say is, but what's up with these apples?
Like,
So you only, does it still put out apples? Okay, then never mind.
well, it'd be like you going to this and calling somebody, man, do my hair. Can you do my hair, man?
Right.
Like, well, you call, you feel me, the loctician, like, you know, and then they call you, like, yeah, man, I'm going through, I know you got an appointment for tomorrow,
right.
but you know, my grandma just died, I gotta do this, gotta do that. And you cut, but my hair though, so you can't do it tomorrow?
Right.
Click.
You can't do it after the wake?
Like, you can't, so you can't come over after the funeral?
And that's the thing is,
so you come to my house, if your lights off, you gotta go to a funeral, after the funeral, come to my house, I got the lights, and you do my hair still, right? It's like, do you hear what I'm going through? You hear what I'm telling you?
man, people talk about the response videos I do, but they don't know the response videos I don't do. They don't know how often, for one reason or another, I don't do the video. Because I know the audience, I know where it can go. And there was this one person who's neurodivergent, and she was having a massive episode online because these people were dogpiling on her. It was wrong. She had made a remark about, you know, the Irish weren't slaves, and so the Irish talk, you know what I'm saying, you know, was like, yeah, just piled on. So then I got into it, and then I ended up just, you know, that was a good series, man. I ended up, I love the smell of napalm in the morning, bro. That was a good fight. And she was really grateful and appreciative or whatever, and she was blaming herself. So I said, hey man, with my followers, said, can y'all just come in here and show her some love, you know, because she's really feeling down on herself. She didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, because I know how that can be when you feel alone, because you don't know where somebody's watching your content from. In the bathroom, in the bedroom, on a bus stop. I don't know what your circumstances are, but I know this right here is a situation that really calls for some, if we family, if we community, let's come on and crowd around her and show her some love. And we did that. It was a great experience. She was a long time follower and everything. Bro, one day, for reasons I cannot explain, she took a post that I'd put up way out of context. Her interpretation of the post was so far from
like purposely obtuse, or like genuinely just I didn't know. Like just the way you concluded was just crazy. I don't even know how.
Fam, not only did I not know, I had to, because I never click profiles to see who said what or whatever, because I always try to be objective in my responses.
Me too.
And then when I respond, people are like, you can't talk to a black woman like that. I'm like, oh snap, I didn't know you. I didn't even know you was a black woman. But the fact that I didn't know should probably tell you something about what you're saying in these comments. So it was like, man, let me see who's saying this. Like, is this a bot? Or, you know, because it was just, oh, you big creators, you think you can dehumanize us because you have a big following. I'm like, what is going on? I'm tripping. And that was their case, was basically you big creators and your money and all the way that you're getting paid off these apps or whatever, some anti-big creator thing. So I clicked, it was the same person. They had changed their name and their profile pic or whatever. But man, the surprise when I realized this was the same person that I had, you know, really come to her aid and rallied with my big creator community, rally the community to come and like have her back. And then you turn around and oh, you big creators, like I'm a whole other person. And now, to me in that moment, I'm like, I don't know if this can be attributed to a cognitive thing, an emotional thing, something that's related to her abilities or disabilities. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know the spectacle of the contrast between me giving my heart to her to come through for her in a moment, that if I put that video up and then show this comments or do one of them diss you, it would have popped. People would have been like, oh yeah, they would have been, there was a lot of people would have piled on and she would have had a bad day. But
that's how I feel about with Sister Tori Greer.
Right. But the thing is,
commented on some shit, tagged it, somebody made my shit. She's like, oh, consciously comes. I was like, you know what? I know what's going on. I'm not gonna respond to this at all.
Right.
You got it, sister.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, this is where you have to be responsible and with your platform, because you could aim your audience at this person and she does have a bad day and that's her last bad day.
Swear to God.
You see what
That's
I'm
what I
saying?
understand. That's what I understand. I've been dogpiled on uniquely 2 times on the internet, you feel me, in the past 2 years. Like what? Now that I know I'm bipolar and ADHD,
Right.
I'm glad I distanced myself from when it was going on.
Right.
So I'm not on the social media crashing out. I
Right.
feel like when you're a certain level,
Right.
you trying to explain yourself, or
Right.
trying to prove yourself,
Right.
it looks like you crashing out.
Right. But there's no way you can, especially when people see your follower count versus the other person's. If it's a big count versus a small account, then why are you even wasting your time talking to this comment? Like, why are you must have a guilty conscience if you're even taking time to respond to me, or that you should you be off doing something more important than responding, because you're not a person anymore. You're not, it's almost as if, let's say to some extent, I'm expecting that your following is now a part of your personhood to the extent, almost as like, well, if you're 100 feet tall, why should this mouse bother you? Like, bro, I'm not 100 feet tall. I'm 100 people strong, which means that there's 100 people with me, but I'm not standing on all their shoulders. We're standing together. So if in the event that there's a mouse or a rat under my feet or gnawing at my feet, I'm not going to just disregard it because I got all these other people around me. And I'm not saying likening them to rats, but I'm not likening them to rats.
Yeah,
Where you think that you can roll up on me and say the meanest, messed up thing, not take into consideration how that might affect me. And I know that there's a lot of drive-by shooters in the comments who didn't think you were going to see it, but I did see it. You can say somebody else said something and I didn't say anything, but I didn't see that comment. Stop snitching. I saw you though.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is never lose or compromise your personhood because you feel like that's the best customer service to give. These are not your customers. These are human beings and people just like you. We all have a purpose on this app. On YouTube, if I got the percentages right, on YouTube, like only 0.2% roughly have over 100,000 subscribers. On TikTok, it's like 2.5 or something like that. So basically having 100,000 subscribers on YouTube is like having 250 or more on TikTok, probably even more.
Yeah.
And so
I be like in 200,000 subscriber followers on the TikTok to like having 50,000 subs on YouTube.
Right. And so that's the thing is, and they behave differently. It's a different kind of communication. And so the thing is, never allow someone to come along and say that you've outperformed your personhood. Now that you got this money, now that you got this car, now that you got these followers, now that you have these brand deals, I get to treat you however I want to because you're no longer a person anymore. You're a thing, you're an app, you're something on my phone that I can scroll through on a day-to-day basis. It's entertainment, it's pastime entertainment. That's not gonna happen. So they're shocked when you remind them that you're a human being after all. You see what I'm saying? So they like, I know you were talking about with your family, they think they can turn your family into a political issue.
Well,
they think they can turn your family into a topic. Like they can politicize
your wife. His wife looking like, hold on, my wife got a whole black parent, but also if she was white, it just means my work don't matter no more. Like,
that's
what are
exactly
we talking
what
about?
they think it means. And I'll tell you what ended up happening. There was a dude, because I defended Nikki Giovanni. He was on there. Oh man, you've been at Harvard too long. You cooning, you doing this and that. Okay, but then peep game though. Old boy, I think he's in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Shit, it might be in Houston, but there was a rapper, right? It was a white rapper who was just tossing the N-word out left and right.
He's from Texas for sure.
Yeah, he's
a white Mexican.
No, he's a white dude. He's a ginger. He's got red hair.
Nah, he from Louisiana, Mississippi. But shit, he black too though. I went down rabbit hole. His daddy black.
See, and this is the thing.
He's raised by his black family.
And the thing is, the gimmick was, here's a white dude saying the N-word, gaslighting everybody. Dude posted he posted that video asking the question, is it okay for a white dude to say the N-word? How y'all feel about that? He didn't come out and straight up condemn it. He asked how y'all feel about it. Then let the people
Rage bait,
right,
like
let the people in the comments say something. And he'll just like the comment, but he don't say nothing too crazy. But when it was talking about Nikki Giovanni, you was balls to the wall, all in.
For sure.
Trashing Nikki Giovanni, but you just asked a philosophical question when it's a white dude using the N-word. You're not really about what you say you're about.
Yeah.
So what I did with him, and this is what I tell you about everything is content. What I did with him is, I said, bro, and I told him, I'm gonna reduce you to a lab rat so you can see yourself. And I'll tell you how I'm gonna do it so that there's no surprise. Nobody can say that this is just me intellectually bullying an underling, okay? You and I both know you're not really about that, okay? At this point in time, you started out respectful because you were a follower. You admired my work, but we just disagreed philosophically on this one. Then you said something slick that you knew you had said too much, so when I responded in kind, now your feelings hurt, okay? So now we adversary. You've been waiting on this moment to prove you're smarter than me because you see me as smart, so the way that you can prove yourself is to outsmart me, but it ain't working out the way that you thought it would, okay? Would. Now, I believe at this point that you're a Pavlovian dog. I think anything I say, you're going to respond in kind because I said so. I will keep you coming back to this post with the ring of a bell because pride won't let you let it go. Mm-hmm. That right there should let you know that this was never about principle. This was you trying to one-up me. Even if it humiliates yourself in the process, you just wanted to one-up me. But you're trying to make it seem like it's something more than that. So this is it for me giving you any substantial arguments is only going to be antagonism from this point forward. When I ring that bell, you make sure you come when I call you. He was like, yeah, I hit that bell emoji on that dude must be 10 times. He respond with a raccoon emoji. And a day or so later, I go back to that thread, hit him with a bell emoji. He's like, oh man, you crashing out, but he'll say something else. Ding, and again, he come back with his own bell emoji. You see, it doesn't matter how you respond.
The fact that you responded anyway, because based on what I do, I got you saying Simon Says. I think that has been my adjustment right now. You know what I'm saying? I've been taking my little mood stabilizer, so it making it where my content really was how I was clicking on people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, oh, you did? All right, let's play this game then.
Right, but
now
see,
I've been a little bit more stabilized in the mood, so I ain't had time for people. You know what I'm saying?
See, the thing
channel it in.
Some people will say, well, son, aren't you the Pavlovian dog too? You're stuck in the same cycle as him. If you keep on antagonizing him, doesn't that prove that you're only in it because you're petty and there's a lack of principle? No. I'll tell you why. Because it was never about the topic for me in the first place. There was never a controversy in my head about whether or not Nikki Giovanni's work was neutralized by the fact that her wife is white. That was never a controversy. This wasn't a two-way debate. I said what I said. You disagreed. If you didn't disagree, I'd be off into the sunset onto the next topic. You were the one who felt some type of way about something I said that I'm taking back. It is what it is. Grow up. These people are multifaceted, okay? At this point in time, now I'm doing some house cleaning because this is my house and I can't have just anybody and everybody come putting their feet up on the table.
Sure.
Doing whatever they want to do for everybody to see and let that be the thing that sets the tone for how we're going to engage in these comments because he was also being antagonistic to other people in the comments.
For sure.
So I could have just, blocked them and let it ride, but I'm not going to block them and let it ride. I need people to see this is what happens in these comments in this space. I need the person that you're insulting to feel defended. I want everybody else to understand this is the vibe that we have here.
Yeah, you got to build community. Yeah, this community building up. I think that's the to me the thing that make a lot of the good content creators separated from the great content creators.
Right.
That's how you build that community. I think that's what makes people like Keith Lee unique because TikTok make it where already they only gonna let you your 20% of your followers see your content anyway. You steady build it.
There's a difference between you having a following and you having a community.
For sure.
Because if your following doesn't have an identity, say what you will about Taylor Swift, the Swifties, you know what I mean? The Swifties,
they know who they is, they know what's going on.
The Beehive, like when your following has an identity, and that comes from the top down. How the person that they follow get down is going to be influential on how they react. Now, when you see something doing what it's supposed to do, you got to get in there and regulate. If somebody is in your comments getting bullied and you didn't do anything, if somebody's in your comments slinging homophobic slurs, ableist slurs, man, I can't tell you how many times somebody comes in to defend me and calls somebody else the R word. And I'm like, God, now I got to come in and tell my own defender, hey, don't do it.
Yeah, I think again, I feel like what happened, man, for me, I feel like the bigger I got, the more I distanced myself from my comment section and the following, because people started just doing crazy and weird shit that made me either feel triggered or made me feel like I act out of character or made me feel like I'm doing too much. But I'm glad we having this conversation. I feel like it's some re-realizations and then shit, just some epiphanies that's like, oh yeah. But also like some, So I definitely
and I'm gonna be honest with you,
sure.
I noticed that. I noticed when I went to your content, because at one point in time we were obviously total strangers, and I'm getting into the TikTok thing, and I'm looking at what I do is I take a look at who's doing what on this platform first, how are they doing it, how is it being responded. I just do the knowledge, as we would say, and it was you and my boy EK with What's Good English. I took a look at the stuff that I'm doing and who's doing something similar enough for me to be able to gauge how it's working out on the content. You know, Portia and just, you know, a few of the black content creators for sure. And smaller to bigger. And as my following started to grow, how to adjust in each instances. Now, I'll be honest with you, the glory days as a creator was when it was smaller and more, and you recognized the followers more, they recognized you, they understood nuance, they expected really meta level content and critical thinking. It was a vibe. The more people that you get, a lot of times it's because they saw a video, not because they're familiar with your work, but because they saw a video and followed, and that's what they want from you going forward, or they don't have a full understanding of your brand beyond
that one video or two videos they've seen.
Right. And so, and the algorithm really throws them under the bus because it's only it's tracking what they're attracted to, like what they engage with. And if you don't have anything else that fits that, they're not gonna see anything else because these people engage in materials about cats. But you happen to have one cat video that made them follow you. You ain't do any more cat videos after that, so they're not gonna show them any more of your content. Now
that's my
you got a
content.
bunch of cat people on your followers list who ain't really engaging in your...
Hell no, that's what my content is. I made a video about fat phobia. People that's into body positivity started following me. My next video was about white supremacy. Shit, people that came to learn about fat phobia, they probably racist, so they don't want to hear about white supremacy, so they unfollowed. But people that like the white supremacy, like, man, if I show you my Instagram shit, it's the same thing you saying. Like, I had 5,000 people unfollow me, but I had 60,000 people that follow me. My number stayed the same because that's a gain of 1,000 followers. You know what I'm saying? Type shit.
There's a thing. I don't know if you've seen this before, but in China they have like these ghost towns. They're major buildings, skyscrapers, condos. They've got more developments than people.
Yeah.
So it looks like a modern town. It's this sprawling community, but ain't nobody in it. It's an illusion. Of opulence because there's no people on those buildings. In a sense, that's kind of what your following end up being, is this big gaudy number that people are impressed by. Like, oh snap, we dude got 1 million, dude got 2 million, this person got 10 million. But how many of those people are actually actively engaged?
That's what I mean by engagement in community is everything, man.
Right.
About what my wife just showed me people that she found on TikTok, other side of TikTok she be on. And shit, they'll have 1 million less followers than me. They'll have 0.5 million followers less than me. But shit.
At one point, that's the aspiration. We all were told, get 1 million followers, get 2 million followers. That's what we were all told. That was success.
And they changed the rules in the midst of you going to get that shit. I'm talking about, I got 2.7 million followers, but the engagement isn't where it should be at all. Right. So I damn near got with shit. I damn near got the empty town. I got the very nice infrastructure, nice, you know what I'm saying, homes and roads and shit. It's empty really. Every once in a while people come drive through, they scroll through, you know what I'm saying?
It's a ghost town.
So down state. I feel like my more of the community is on Instagram. Instagram right now I got like my best community, really my best engagement. I only got 500,000 followers. But those 500,000 outperformed the 2.7 million astronomically a lot.
Right. And
like,
see,
a lot.
that's the thing is where we are now is like the apps themselves are changing what it takes to be successful on the app.
For sure.
So
For sure.
I don't know if you saw it or not, but TikTok, I saw it with somebody else did a video about it, but just released their new criteria. They're telling you straight up, like, look, man, we need people to be to be saving your video, sharing your video. Shares are important. Sharing your video, engaging, like comment-wise or whatever, engaging. But they also now want the creators to engage more too. So the big creators who just kind of sit back and let the numbers do the work for them. Now they want you to be out here engaging in content and corresponding. But I feel like that's a trap because the more you engage in this content, the more you set yourself up to get comment violations.
Oh God.
Different types, bro.
You just giving more rope
tried.
for them to hang you and hoping that it don't ever turn into a noose type shit.
Bro, I tried to do the comment. They hit me.
I seen yours. That's the reason why I feel discouraged.
Yeah.
The reason why I feel discouraged about doing a lot of the comment, like once I start being accused of bullying and getting accused of taking people's pages down, and I'm a gangster. I ain't finna, you know what I'm saying, in terms of social media anyway. Like,
Right.
man, listen, I ain't finna snitch and tell on you. You got your fair one. You got the fair one. You feel me?
Right.
You got my video. You got my page taken down. Once I start hearing that too much, like, I ain't even finna engage with y'all. You really mad, like, intellectually took you to task.
Right.
And instead of you just admitting you took the L, you want to play victim and say, I sent people your way. It's like, when you came at me, you knew how many followers I had.
Right.
So if you think you can come for me and I can't respond because I got too many followers,
Right.
that is asinine. You feel
That
me?
goes back to what we were talking about.
Like, goddamn. So you can talk shit to me, but because I got a certain amount of followers, I can't say shit back to you because you know what they're gonna do. It's like, they want to go see who talking shit about me. They want to go see what you said to me where I responded. That's what they want to do. Now, if they feel like what you did was against the community guidelines, that's on you, them, and that. The idea that I have to be like, what?
Right.
What?
Right. But I mean, but we talked about that before. Old girl somehow, with a leap of logic, associated you with a death row, inmate.
Boy, that's the one that pissed me off so much that I really ain't even fully recovered.
Right.
So, if I'm being real with you, like, sort of, that shit pissed me off so much. And I seen also 80% of y'all really already didn't like me, and you needed a reason to justify you not liking me.
Right.
You felt like I was performative, so you needed a reason to justify. You don't recognize that I was already doing this work before there was a consciously, and that's the reason why consciously became a thing, because I was literally, you feel me, showing the work that was getting done.
Right.
Man, when it's like, if consciously would have just made 3 more videos, the governor of Missouri would have saved Marcellus Williams. Like, what? Hold on. A white supremacist institution executed a black man, and your response is to go after black celebrities and black content creators.
Bro. The ideology
and you only said my name. I ain't gonna say nobody else's name, but man, that shit pissed me off so much. But that was the thing that got me. I've been able to talk to her organization. Right. You feel me? Talk to her, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. We didn't bury the hatchet, you know what I'm saying? Right. We didn't, you know what I mean? We didn't made it, like we've made amends. But the impact, especially emotionally, how it made me feel, and emotionally what it did to my relationship with content, the comment section, and the DMs uniquely, the damage already done.
Well,
it's already
to me, it was also that there were people on the sidelines who were willing to pile on.
Oh man!
Even if you say this one person was misguided in an emotional moment, she says some things that maybe she shouldn't say.
There was thousands of people that.
There were people who were willing to pile on. They had a thirst for it. Like, it's almost like they've been waiting on
it. Especially when it's like y'all backlashing because this black man got executed, and y'all feel like I should have did more and could have did more.
Right.
Why are you bringing up my wife? Like, how does my wife,
what is that,
being biracial or to your point, being white, have anything to do with how I'm advocating for, you know what I'm saying, Marcellus Williams, especially because I'm doing more than you ever did. You know what I'm saying?
For a long time, everybody, I know you got it in your comments, I get it in my comments, people like, either one or two things that happen, one or two, or not three, but things that happen. I post something, I say something, I do something, and they'll tag consciously in my comments. Like, sometimes they don't even say anything. They just tag consciously. I'm like, at first I was like, why they do that? Like, maybe it's something they think would be relevant to you or whatever, or I don't know. And then other times they'd be like, yeah, consciously just said something, similar to that, or you guys should get together or whatever. And they always said we should collaborate. And then there was this weird sort of thing where they'll respond to me like I'm you. they haven't figured out I'm not you. And so it's you. And the interesting thing about it is you and Levert, the bass man, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, you're the hey good morning guy." I'm like, nope. They're like, I'm the we out guy. Like, so I'm not the hey good morning guy. You see, yeah, and they'll do the same thing, with me search over research over me search or whatever, and they'll use the phrases but get us confused. And they're like, nah, wrong black guy with locks, man. It's the wrong black guy with locks.
The crazy is though, both of y'all got like full blown beard.
That's right.
It's like, even if I wanted to grow a beard, I wouldn't be able to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, well, in my mind, both of y'all here extremely longer than me.
Right. But that's where we are though, is like
wrong.
Right, exactly. I guess because we happen to be talking about something similar or whatever, but they just put us all in the same category. But I do know that a lot of folk who were looking for it are now in a position to where they're waiting for like the worlds to collide and for us to finally do this cataclysmic sort of collabo, like, oh, it's about to be brain splitting. But the thing about it though is what I appreciate about our conversation so far. And I know we go by the principle that anything can be content, but the truth of the matter is, by going by the concept of just regular conversation so far, is I'll walk away from the conversations remembering like a few things, like remembering your dog. Your dog's very. I'm not gonna lie, your dog couldn't want me over. Your dog's very cute. Going to the mom and pop shop or whatever to get some pastries and breakfast, and talking about just life, family and life as a creator and just regular stuff. And that's really where the content comes from. That's kind of like the thing I wanted more than anything is for people to recognize that at the end of the day, we really are people. Like, we're not an app, we're not an avatar, an NPC, or a thing that says programmable that to just keep churning out content, but just regular people. And this content is coming from our day-to-day lives.
Definitely. Not from a writer, not from a director, producer, or overhead, or a CEO. It's like, nah, this is what I thought about. I made a video about it.
Right, and we were talking about it earlier about a couple of issues that we're not gonna get into, but how I thought it was important for people to know that those things impacted you, like emotionally and psychologically, that you walked away with those things reverberating in your mind long after everybody else has gotten over it as just content, or last week's content is still something that stays with you. And it's possible as a creator, even if you're a big creator, it's possible for content to affect you in a way. And I'll go back to early Facebook days, and even the tail end of like MySpace or whatever. I remember I posted a story where it was really tragic. It was a boyfriend who had unalived an infant out of spite to the mother.
Yeah.
And it wasn't getting a lot of press or whatever, but I came across a story, and it really affected me. And so I posted about it, and the mother DM'd me and said, "Thank you for shining a light on it, because nobody was really. It was just feeling like nobody really cared, or it was just only her private sort of misery." And in that moment, I was kind of shook, because I was like, "Oh snap! What if I had said something disrespectful? Like, what if it was the other way around? We're like, oh, these women need to choose better. What if I had said something?" She would have heard that, and she would have been impacted. That could have been the thing that sent her over the edge. And so as time would go on, and the more that I would post, and the more it became clear that this was connected to real live people, it made me feel more responsible with the thing that I post. I think to some degree, it was easier to make the case that I would like some of that in return, like people respecting and honoring my humanity. when my following was smaller. You know, the bigger your following gets, the more people is right.
The more human you get, the more detached people feel like you are from reality in terms of struggle, in terms of pain, in terms of suffering, or it becomes shit. You got followers to cushion you, and I believe followers equal dollars. Therefore, anything you crying and whining about, I would much rather have your problem because you got so many followers. So I know that means dollars.
Right.
It's like, hey. And everything that glitters ain't gold. What you think this is, I promise you, it's the exact opposite. You think people are millionaires out here? Man, top of the top.
Right.
I'm not top of the top, cream of the crop.
Right. And you know, and even at that, the thing that has to be stated is like, for example, I do a lot of response videos, and people call clapback videos. Okay, but but they don't. They'll say, "Oh, you're exploiting the ignorance and cashing it in, and you know, making money off of it or whatever." First of all, if I posted about cats, socks, or tacos, whatever I post, if I'm monetized, it's going to be you're gonna profit from it. So it doesn't matter what I talk about. It's not like some kind of nefarious plot on my part. That's the way the app works. And if I'm in a creative program and not getting kicked out of it for whatever reason, then yes, there will be some monetary value. But the point is that it was going to happen anyway. The harassment was going to happen anyway. The racists were going to happen anyway. The death threats were going to happen anyway. And for people to say, well, you should just ignore it. Like you should just, shine it off. Right.
For a little bit.
But at what point in time do you start unwittingly enabling the behavior that you're trying to deter by simply ignoring it and sending out the signal that everybody can get a free lick off you? Like,
I feel like, to me, I think they're going to go back and forth with it, right? I feel like when I first started blowing up on my content, I was incentivizing a lot of people to throw shit at me and go for what sticks because I responded to so many different people.
Right.
So I feel like that incentivized me to distance myself from the audience, but also distance myself from always trying to clap on people in particular ways.
Right.
But then I I fell back, but I also feel like it still doesn't.
Right.
And shit, you know what I'm saying? I can use, you feel me, a specific example like my wife.
Right.
You feel me? It's like, at first I was caught up in trying to prove my wife has a black parent, her mom's black, she's raised by these black people, she's not white, this, that, and the other. My sixth video I done made responding to this shit. Now I'm like, nah, I think y'all are purposely being obtuse and purposely trying to do and say shit to get my attention, even though I've corrected you on this thing that it's false.
Right. And the truth of the matter,
it don't matter though. It's like I said the shit, you still saying constantly got a white wife. I don't say anything. You say constantly got a white wife. So shit, it's just like I'm talking to you. I feel like this is what you have given me confidence to get back on.
Right.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You should pick the most confident piece of way for you to be damned. Right. You didn't tell me that like that, but that's how I perceive. Like that's how I've interpreted some of the things we talked about. It's like, nah.
Is controlling your own destiny, and at the end of the day, like falling. I've been in arguments with people all the time. They'll try to distract you by coming up with a point that ain't got nothing to do with your point.
That's how I feel about it.
And so my whole thing is, I'll let somebody talk till they blue in the face. You can say whatever you want to. I don't care how inflammatory it is. And when you're done, I'm going to redirect you right back to my original point. Like, yeah, cool story, bro. Like I said, about this thing right here. What's up with that?
That's not responsible to nothing we have saying right now. Right. School told me that, but hit back to the point. But it's like, hey, but to me, I think, even this example, I'm curious. Has people ever tried to use your degrees against you?
Well, actually,
they did that. But like, hold on. So first, she was calling me a dumbass nigga. I point to you that I have some expertise in a particular type of training, and then that becomes
Yeah. Bro, I got to tell you, you touched on something that's really important though, is the Dunning-Kruger effect, bro. Like on overall on social media,
what effect?
Dunning-Kruger effect. Essentially, when people have an inflated sense of proficiency and expertise in something that they do not, and so I've seen people argue with an astrophysicist about astrophysics. I've seen people
argue with biologists about trans identities and gender identities. Like, nigga, you're arguing.
Bro, you're in Neil deGrasse Tyson's comments, arguing with him about things that are in the wheelhouse of his expertise. It's like that Holiday Inn commercial where everybody feels like they're a professional at something because they stayed a night in Holiday Inn, and it was a commercial where the dude gets in the helicopter and he's pulling off, and everybody's like, "Oh man, so you're the pilot?" And he's like, "Yeah, nah, I mean, I'm not the pilot. I just stayed a night at the Holiday Inn." And it's like, okay, you know how this ends because no, you're not the pilot. And your confidence is coming from an unqualified space, but you feel confident, so therefore you feel like that confidence is going to translate into competence, and that's not how competency works. And so there'll be people who will try the old, like what Chris Rock was saying, bet you can't beat me though. If you smart like that, that's the only way I can offset that. But
but these hands though.
Right. Well, what about these hands? And so to me, it's like, okay, when you are in a situation where you are trying your best to represent for your community, represent for the people. First of all, let me just back that up. As a Black creator, as a Black thought leader, or someone who's you're not allowed to be an individual, and I say not allowed as in that's not the way that we view it community-wise. So it's a question of collectivism versus individualism, and we know that individualism has been something that has been used to divide us by pointing out the exceptional, talented tenth, the ones that that's fueled a lot of classism and things of that nature. But collectivism at the same time is you see something on the news, you hear about something happening, and you just holding your breath like, please don't be Black, please don't be Black, please don't be Black. Like you see a dude with locks or somebody that fits your description who committed a particular crime, and then for some irrational reason you feel indicted, like you're accountable for a total stranger because you know that that's the way that you're going to be perceived. So when you get on these platforms and you speak and you represent whatever it is, whatever thought it is that you have, you're also, whether you like it or not, an advocate, you're a role model, you're a number of things that if you just want to wake up one day and be yourself, that's not the way that you're going to be perceived. So if you take up the mantle and decide, okay, I'm going to lean into this whole role modeling thing, but we are a diverse people. So how then do you as an educated person, how then do you as a person who understands what debate actually is? Like what people are calling debate online is actually just arguing. Y'all just fighting, y'all mudslinging. They don't know the difference between debating and debasing. Here you come. Real life. Real life is content.
I feel like that's what it comes. I mean, thinking about my son's career, it's like I feel like that is the flip side becomes when you say something the community doesn't agree with.
Right.
Now we're gonna hold now we feel like you shouldn't be able to individually think. So I try to have that balance between collective perspective of how I presented position, but also never forget the individual, like missing the forest for the trees type shit.
But the other part of that is one day they'll be old enough to navigate the internet on their own without assistance.
For sure.
And one day they're gonna see their mother getting talked about reckless.
That's what I think about that all the time. I'm like, how does this impact my kids?
And I would like to believe that if it was my father, anybody on my father's job, on his work site, anywhere within earshot of my father was talking reckless about my mom, that my father would defend them.
Yeah.
Would defend her. And also, if in that process you're trying to leave a legacy behind, my father did, concrete work and concrete masonry. He was a manual laborer, and every time I drive past this one car lot that I know he laid the floor for that one car lot, and some of the places where I know he did the driveway. I think of my father going past that driveway, all the people who made use of the things that he's made with his own two hands. If, God forbid something happened to either one of us and we're not here anymore to speak for ourselves, all those videos you made, all that content you created, bro, that's your legacy.
For sure, yeah.
Other than whatever money, other than whatever things that you left, the inheritance. Intellectual property is one of the most difficult types of property to really quantify and place value on and pass on, because with intellectual property, unless it's a material thing like songs or something like that, but thoughts and ideology, philosophical things like that nature, you have to the person has to make themselves ready to receive it. You don't have to make yourself ready to receive a check. If I leave you money, cut the check, boom, you deposit the check, it's yours. But my philosophy, my ideas, my principles, my values, you really got to help prepare the people that you're trying to pass this on to prepare them to be able to receive it.
Definitely.
And so that requires you to be a whole person, well-rounded, entire person. And when you're laying down that legacy for your followers, for the viewers, it is not in their interest or yours or the people that you left behind to allow them to dehumanize you, even if it's with good intentions.
Yeah.
Even if they don't mean harm, you can't do that.